Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I'm going to do a quick video on the firmware update that was just made available by Autel for the original EVO. This is a 1.5.8 firmware. They've added, there's 4 things that they list here. There's improved gimbal self-start calibration, so just when it starts up, it will calibrate itself better. They've improved the gimbal anti-vibration performance, but I guess might be something with this occasional jello or something. I've never seen that in mine, but that's what it sounds like. Optimized camera DDR parameters. I have no idea what that means. I've searched DDR. Of course, there's a term for RAM, memory, but I don't know what it means on a camera on a drone. I've searched for that specific phrase on Google, and I don't come up with anything more than maybe some really advanced technical stuff. So I don't think that's something that's probably going to make much difference for you and I. But if you know more about it, be sure to leave me a little information in the comment section, and then some bug fixes. We just throw, they always throw that in on a lot of these firmware. Just some small things that are really not even important to list that they've fixed. So mostly it seems like they've just done stuff to the gimbal. So what I'm going to do is take it outside, do a quick test flight, and give you guys some line of sight footage from my head cam, most likely, and then some onboard footage. I'll probably just film at 1080p at 60 to make it easier to edit. We just want to look and see, does it seem to fly okay? And most of all, does the gimbal look like it's at least as, sometimes with these firmware updates, you end up getting some weird thing you didn't expect, and you find out that the firmware you had before was better than this one. And that's what I want to see here. Should you upgrade to this newest firmware or not? So we'll take it out and see how it looks and how does the gimbal perform. So let's go ahead and we'll take it outside now for that test flight. So be right back. Alright guys, so I have the EVO out back in my house here. Obviously with the quarantine stuff going on, I kind of have to stay at my house to fly. I mean, I could go out somewhere, but you're not really supposed to go to parks and places where I would typically fly. Now, they've updated the Autel Explorer app since the last time that I used it. I like it, and there's just the menus and stuff are a little different. One thing that I'm having a problem with is I'm having trouble getting the resolutions and frame rates to change. I was set to 4K at 60. I want to go to 1080p at 60, and for some reason I'm having a really hard time. When I go in here and select another one, it just doesn't change. It seems like if I go in and press the display button and bring up, it brings up with the app plugged in, like my photos I've taken in the past from the cache, and then go back, then it switches. It's almost like the app is not refreshing. I've never had any kind of glitches or anything in the apps, and I don't know if that's something, is this a known problem? Because I don't fly my EVO as much as I should. So if you're a person with the EVO, have you seen that? It could just be some glitch with my particular phone. I'm able to get it, and I thought about just taking my phone off and just using the screen here, where you can do all the settings through your main FPV screen on the controller, and I imagine that'll probably work just fine. But I went ahead and had my phone plugged in for this. I usually like to fly by my phone, even though the screen here, if you don't need the smart features, the screen works great, and it's a little less laggy than having to send the signal out and process it through to your smartphone. So keep that in mind. If you don't need to use dynamic tracking, orbit mode, waypoint, stuff like that, you don't need to use a smartphone for just basic flying and filming. So let's go ahead and we'll take it up here and hover it and see how it looks, how the gimbal looks. Let's go ahead and start recording, and hopefully this will be at 1080p at 60 like it says. It seems to be okay now. Let's go ahead and start recording. I got some video recording now. Let's go ahead and do both sticks in. Let's go ahead and do an auto takeoff. Let's go ahead and hold that down. Take it up a little bit higher. Now, it did not ask me to do a compass calibration. Lots of times after, well, not lots of times, sometimes after a firmware update, a drone will ask you for that. I'm not going to worry about it. It didn't ask me. It's as stable as can be, so there's no toilet bowling. We always want to look for that after a firmware update. The beeping that we're hearing here is actually the obstacle avoidance stinging me. So it looks good. Everything on my screen looks good. Let's do a quick gimbal tilt here. Everything looks fine to me. If you look at that slope you see right now, that's actually my property from right to left is actually slopes down, so the gimbal is not crooked. That's just my fence. Let's take it up here. Let's look down. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about the video in terms of exposure and stuff like that, because I just want to see how the gimbal behaves. So we're not going to worry too much about the camera settings and stuff like that. So there she goes, guys. Hopefully you can see that. Just gonna fly it out here a ways. I have my overexposure warning, so the horizon may be a bit too bright right now. I'm actually gonna stop it there and maybe see if I can turn that off. The overexposure warning can be a bit annoying to look at when you're flying, though it can be helpful. So it says the video signal is weak. We're not out very far though. We're only out 492 feet. I'm going to fly it this way because I don't have near the obstructions from my house as I would flying it in the other directions. The houses end up obstructing the signal, and you end up not getting near the range you'd like. These trees though, without many leaves on them right now, we should get pretty good. We should get pretty good signal. They're still giving me that weak signal warning. But yeah, it looks. I'm out about 1,300 feet, and these trees are still causing some issues. I don't have any video feed right now, and that, you know, I've never. The EVO has really good advertised range. Well, you got to be. Let me call it back home. You really have to have a good unobstructed line, because I'm not very far away, and 1,300 feet and I've already lost the signal. It's just because I'm in this backyard. I thought going this way might work. I ought to regain it here. It says it's coming home. Let's see if we can find it. See if I can see it here. Should be coming back. Here we go. I regained the signal. I can hear it now. Here we hear it coming. Whenever you're waiting for it to come back home like that and you're all lost, here it comes. Your signal. It can be a little nerve-wracking there. We'll fly it around another way there. I just didn't have much, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel the return to home here. I think I can do that. Let's see here, but it's still wanting to land. I don't know if that cancels it or not. Yeah, it's still coming down. We'll go ahead and let it land. Let's see how accurate it is. I gotta familiarize myself with the app here, but you have your pause button here, and you can pause the return to home. I know that. But I know I've canceled return to home before. I showed you guys I should be flying this EVO more often than I do. It's doing its accurate landing, so it's looking for these rocks and stuff, and you can see, look, it's gonna be perfect. All right, we'll take it up and fly it out this way. I know I've flown it farther this way before. I thought for sure going off this way through these trees that I wouldn't have a problem. If I flew from my front yard, it's even less obstructed, but that was not very good. But again, if anytime you're going, you really want to go higher than I was, just so you can get a better angle to the drone. So let's go ahead. I'll just keep recording. Let's go ahead and just take off manually. So the higher you get, we're going to go out this way. So I can go up to 400 feet legally here, so up to 150 feet. Let's just keep going higher. Let's get up 300 feet or so. That's one of my problems when I do these range tests. Lots of times on the, well, I shouldn't say range tests. When I have some range issues, I just don't get high enough. I can see the drone out here. There should be no issues now. I'm out about 1,000 feet. Oh. I got my antennas angled down here. I know people have flown this thing out 4 miles. I've seen it done. Boy, you have to really get a good, wide open, clear line of sight, because I'm at 900 feet and I'm already getting weak video signal. Again, I've got houses out here, but I should be on a line of sight with it still. No, I'm kind of doing a quick yaw here, guys. I'm not really worried about the filming. Again, I just want to see how the gimbal looks. I'll tilt it down some so I can see where I'm at now. Just gonna kind of turn it back to the right. And I can see the subdivision behind me. Aim it back towards me and fly it back. So, you know, I've always loved this drone. It's a great drone, but I've never been super impressed with the range. I know people get really good range, and it does have good advertised range, but I've always get, when I fly out of my subdivision, I should say, issues with the video signal freezing up, or maybe my drone just doesn't have the greatest, and there it is up there. Maybe I've got some issues with my video transmitter or something. I mean, I've gone out, you know, a half a mile to a mile, and I really just need to take it out someplace where I've got very little of any obstructions or any kind of radio signal interference, stuff like that. But I'm not one who's really a long range flyer. So here I come down manually. I'm not one that likes to do long range flying. Some of you guys do. For one, it makes me nervous when I'm out there. And yes, I have full confidence in the EVO, but I'm that way with any drone. But I just never been one to have good issue with range. Even my Mini, I've taken it out that distance like that and it lost the signal, which it's not advertised to have the range of the EVO. But I just haven't ever had the greatest, you know, range with the EVO, but I've also not taken it to an ideal spot to really try to push it. I need to go down where I've done my range tests for some of my other drones and see if I can get it out there, because I mean, I can get a kilometer out with no problem on my on the Eachine EX4, and I have no doubt the EVO's gonna have no problem with that either out there. I just end up around here flying from my subdivision. I end up with dropped out signal or frozen signal, sometimes only not even a quarter of a mile out. I mean, I was only out about 1,300 feet there and I completely lost it. My antennas, you know, these antennas on this drone, these little posts in here sometimes come undone. They're all secured in place, so I'm not really sure. Again, I mean, it doesn't really matter much to me because I'm not a long distance flyer, but I just, like I said, never been super impressed with the range on the EVO, even though it's advertised at like 4 miles. I just, like I said, I have issues with the range. I know people out there here, I've seen videos where they've flown at 4 miles, so I know it can do it. That's about over 9 minutes of video, guys. We got there. Probably more than you guys are going to want to watch. But the firmware seems fine. Again, if you say, man, your range is sad. Again, I had some obstruction. I was looking through a lot of trees and I wasn't very high. The other direction here, I was up 300 feet and I did not lose the feed there. I just brought it back because I didn't want to fly it too far for this video anyway. But like I said, overall, the EVO is a great drone, a really super filming drone, one of the best drones you can get in terms of the camera quality. But like I said, I just have never had the most impressive range, but it doesn't really matter to me. The farthest I've ever flown a drone was 1 mile, and that was actually my X-Star. All right, guys, that wraps up this firmware update video. Looks to me like the firmware is good to go. You know, it's all gimbal, and I saw nothing in the gimbal. Obviously, we'll have to reanalyze this once I get the video up here for you guys and look it over. If there is any subtle things it did or anything weird, I'll be sure to include a footnote, some text to point that out. But just to my eyes, through the screen, everything looks fine. So be sure to subscribe, guys. You know, click that bell so you know when I do upload new videos. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.